This week on Supercars Talk, I review the Tyrepower Tasmania Supersprint and preview the WD-40 Phillip Island Supersprint. This weekend we saw the boys down the Apple Isle, the Tyrepower Tasmania Supersprint. The racing was good, but not a lot happened. No real incidents to report on over the weekend. We saw a couple of practice spins from Simona and Anton De Pasquale, and Jamie had his buried the car in the kitty litter during qualifying. But during the races, we didn't actually see any incidents, so we had no safety cars on the weekend. One thing we did see, however, was a couple of different cars on pole. Scotty didn't make it onto pole this weekend. We saw Winterbottom get back on the front of the grid on Saturday, and Shane Van Gisbergen did the same thing on Sunday. Great to see Winterbottom on the front of the grid. A lot of people making a big deal about this big comeback of Winterbottom's. I don't think he was as far back as what people think he was in previous seasons. I mean, he was the 2015 champion. That wasn't really that long ago. Yeah, okay, Tickford hasn't had the best, they haven't had the best results the last couple of years, but I think Frosty's had a couple of podiums and that during that time. It hasn't been that bad, just that he hadn't been in the championship hunt that he had been previously. Of course, the normal race winner was resumed on Saturday, where Scott took his 7th win of the season, I think it is. 7 from 7 starts, 7 from 8 races. But on Sunday we saw him get soundly beaten. Van Gisbergen took the win. And finally we got to see a good burnout for the year. Shane letting it all hang loose after the win. That was great to see, a good burnout again. In the intro I mentioned Wincup's little problem he had during qualifying, where he beached it in the sand, and we had the term championship changing come out. This term, Scaife loves it. I'm a bit sick of it coming out so early in the season, just because it's someone like Whincup who you expect to be in the championship hunt. I don't think every little thing that happens to him, it doesn't probably need to be called championship changing right now. Start worrying about it kind of when we hit Bathurst, Scaife. But we did also see his weekend kind of went from bad to worse on Saturday. His bad qualifying, and then he had that big dive bum on Chaz Mostert right at the start of the race. Not sure what that was all about. Ended up hitting Chaz in the side, and he had a tyre blowout, which he thought there was more damage done to the car, so they pulled it into the pit and had a bit of a check over it. In the end, supposedly it was just a tyre blowout. He continued and went and got some points, so it wasn't a total disaster for him, but not great for the 7-time champion at this point of the year. Speaking of race 7, we saw a all New Zealand podium. Considering there's only 5 of them in the field, they're not doing too bad, although you could say 3 of the 4 best seats in the field are filled by the New Zealanders. The other 2, they're in so-so cars. Although we did see Richie qualify 7th on the Sunday. Normal transmission resumed during the race and he ended up down the back. This time though, I don't think it was all his fault. He had a bit of an issue in the pits that put him back. This weekend we saw Jack Smith have a wildcard entry. I predicted before the weekend that basically he'd be last, dead, cold, stone last. And he quite surprised me. He looked pretty good in the practice sessions, and he actually out-qualified a few people. It's hard to tell with some of the equipment that the guys are running around in, but I can't see why his car would be better than Macaulay's. And for someone who hasn't really stood out in the Super 2 series, not too sure, but he probably had a better weekend than Macaulay. Speaking of Macaulay, a bit of a qualifying incident there on the Sunday where a bit of a half spin turned into a hell of a lot worse when a couple of guys went ploughing into him. No one really at fault there. It's just a situation of, it's a tight track and not a lot of room for everybody in those qualifying sessions. During the qualifying sessions, we did get to see the forget how the heat system, kind of the knockout like Formula One. This works brilliantly around a track like this. It'd be interesting to see how it runs around Phillip Island. We had this system last year at Symmons Plains, and I think we had it at Queensland and Barbagallo. This year they're using it at all the Supersprint rounds. Don't think we'd probably need it somewhere like Phillip Island where there's a lot of room. I think the sessions might be a bit drawn out on such a big track like that. Over the weekend, there was the rainstorm that never ended up coming, and we didn't have any safety cars, so there wasn't a lot to talk about for the commentators. So thank God we had the new Parc Fermé rules. That was talked about non-stop all weekend, which actually kind of turned out to be a bit of a non-event. Everyone just kind of ended up in their normal positions. So it'd be interesting to see whether they decide that this is a good thing or a bad thing, and whether it gets trialled at any other rounds or whether we kind of never see it again. So after the round, the championship positions, a little bit of movement in the top of the table. Scott McLaughlin, of course, still leads with 770 points. His teammate Fabian Coulthard jumps up to second though. He's on 646. Jamie Whincup drops back to third position. He's back on 610. Shane van Gisbergen, he jumps right back up to fourth on 604, and Dave Reynolds is on 599. But I think the key thing is that Scott McLaughlin, other than his teammate, he's got 160 point lead, which is that's over a race at the moment. Then this early in the championship, that's looking really good for him. A quick livery update. Of course, we got to see Jack Smith's paint job. A little bit different to the Super 2 one. Not sure if it was an improvement or not. But there we go. It'll be interesting to see if we see him come out again during the season. The big talking point though was the new livery for Chas Mostert. The Super Cheap livery. A lot more black on the car, looks a lot more cohesive. Unfortunately, there's still the white surround around the Bendix and the Bosch logos. Must be something in their contracts that they have to be on a white background. I think if maybe they could convince them to put them on the black background with white writing, that the car would look a hell of a lot better, because the white kind of accents on it. Still think we could do a little bit of tweaking here and there to make it look better. We also saw Lee Holdsworth's car. They changed the bonnet, the Southern Comfort sponsorship on the bonnet from black to a white, from white background to a black background. Does look a little bit tidier. Still, I think just a little bit of tweaking on the Mustang. They've done such a great job on the monster car. Pretty easy, flat black. But I think the Milwaukee and the Shell cars look quite good though. So Tickford, a little bit of room for improvement, but a hell of a lot better than what we started with. We also, of course, saw Nick Perkett in the Dunlop car. I think that looked great on track, and tight turnaround for this weekend. So not sure if we'll see a switch of paint or we'll see Dunlop on the car again for this weekend. That leads me in nicely to the preview of the WD-40 Phillip Island Super Sprint. The format is basically the same as the Symmons Plains round. No co-driver practice on the Friday, but two practices on the Friday, then the practice on Saturday morning, the knockout qualifying session. Then we got a 27 lap race on the Saturday afternoon. Sunday's the practice, knockout qualifying again, and a 45 lap race on the Sunday. The big thing for this weekend is they're going to try shutting the pit lane if there's a safety car. Not sure on the full rules. I think it is a total shutdown of the pit lane, so you are not allowed to enter if the safety car comes out. Could be a bit dicey, a decision like that, if cars have got damage. Obviously, if you are too damaged, you'll have to pull in regardless. But you might see, if there's an incident, you might see a couple of cars limping around under the safety car, not coming in, because not sure that I assume there'd be some kind of penalty. Unfortunately, on decisions like this, a lot of the time, us fans are kept quite in the dark about these things. Going off what happened at Symmons Plains over the weekend though, I would have thought of the two tracks to have a safety car, you'd definitely put money on Symmons Plains having a safety car more than Phillip Island. So it's a good chance we'll get away the whole weekend and this turns into a non-story because there wasn't a safety car at all. Form guide for Phillip Island, you can't look past Scott McLaughlin. He's dominated here the last couple of years and the Mustang doesn't seem to be any slower than either the Volvo or the FGX Falcon that he did it in previously. So I think barring a disaster, we're going to see Scotty on the top step again. I've had a couple of viewer questions and I encourage questions to come through. You can either contact me through YouTube down in the comments section, or I'm Tubby_Dave on Instagram. They're probably the two best ways to get in contact. First question relates to some of the graphics that I put up on the screen there. And they want to know, have I used MS Paint to make them? Yes, I have. Currently looking into getting some kind of proper photo editing software so I can make things look a bit better. But yeah, currently for the moment, it's slapping them together in MS Paint. It's not great, but it's doing the job for the moment. The other question I had was about the co-host. Yes, I've been doing it a bit solo. Broomy's stuck working on Project Redline stuff on the Full Boost channel, so I've been doing it solo. I'm trying to negotiate with a few people about coming on and being a co-host. I'll see how that goes. Probably not going to have any. You're probably going to have to put up with me solo for a while yet. And my plans are basically, I'm going to try and get a video out every Tuesday with a preview before each round, a review after the round, or in this case, we did the preview and the review together. And then on non-race weekends, I'm going to try and do some special things like talking about parity in the previous video, things like that. If there's anything you want me to discuss, once again, get in contact down in the comments below or hit me up on Instagram. And that wraps up my Tyrepower Tasmania Supersprint review and the WD-40 Phillip Island preview. See you next time.
Put away your inhibitions. Let the beast in you just get loose. We all young, wild, and